Alright, what's up, gang? What's up? So shit, like I promised y'all, man, we getting right into it with the presentations. You feel me? I just want to stop real quick to say, I feel like a lot of woke people, right? People that say they fuck with spirituality heavy or whatever. I feel like a lot of people know a lot, right? And they throw like a lot of information at you, but I feel like I feel like a lot of people really don't show you how you could use the information in like a practical way and apply it to life. So shit, that's basically what I'm finna do with this astrology shit, to say it in so many words. But yeah, let's jump right into it. So astrology 101, right? We already talked about in one of my previous videos. If you didn't see that one, astrology is not a fucking religion, right? What's the definition of religion? It's just a system of beliefs. And while of course you can believe astrology is more so just the reality of things on a natural level. Whether you choose to believe that or not is out of my hands. I'm not here to force anybody to believe anything. I just have a passion for knowledge, and I feel like myself personally, I see myself as a truth seeker, and anything I learn and find valid, right, I like to share that. So shit, that's what brings us here. Okay, so the birth chart. First thing you're gonna see if you go to, type in your birthday. I know you're probably familiar with the big three. Maybe you heard that, maybe you haven't, right? People talk about your rising sign, your moon sign, your sun sign, right? See, a lot of people are only familiar. A lot of people are only familiar with their sun sign, right? However, your sun sign is just, you know, uh, your identity, right? Your sense of self, right? Maybe your ego, right? If you want to look at it that way. So let's get into this. Let's get into this, man. If you go and like I said, you find a website. You can go to astrology.com. You can go to what's that other one? I want to say it's Astro Theme. I want to say it's Astro Theme, something like that. I'm gonna leave a link. I'm gonna leave a link in the comments. I'm gonna leave a link down below in the comments for sure. So you can, if you know your time of birth, you can go and find your natal chart and see what everything's looking like. Okay, so birth chart. A birth chart is basically a snapshot, screenshot, whatever you want to call it. It shows you where the planets were when you were born. Not just the planets, but the celestial bodies as a whole, right? So planets, asteroids, the moon, the nodes on the moon, the north and south node, right? Which aren't really like place, planets or anything like physical, like celestial body wise, like material wise, more so that it is just points. A node basically is just a point in the moon's orbit, right, around the earth. And so yeah, birth chart, simply put, it's like a screenshot of the universe, right, when you were born. It's significant because obviously, if you know anything about astrology, all of these placements and points, they kind of tell the story of your personality and your life, for that matter, over like the grand scheme of things, like the bigger picture, whether you choose to believe that or not. Again, it's not to say that we don't have free will, because everyone can definitely choose, right? Like, I know you've heard of the angel and the devil, like, on my shoulder. You can always choose to fuck shit, but as humans, we have like that reasoning and that option to choose. So I like to think about it as like the choices you're presented with, or the options you're presented with, right, at any given time. And it's up to you to choose, but what you're choosing from, right? What the cards are kind of like the cards are kind of selective, like for you in a sense, like already. Okay, so let's get into this. That's the birth chart, right? Quadrants. Okay, so the birth chart is split up into quadrants and hemispheres, right? So on the top, right, the top half right here of the birth chart, we have the southern hemisphere. And I know it might be confusing because the southern is the top, but in astrology, like when referring to like a natal chart, excuse me, the southern is the top half, okay? So the top half from, let's just say, Pisces right here, all the way over to Libra, chilling on the other side, is the southern to the top half. And if you have a lot of planets here, right? Because that's what makes these quadrants and hemispheres significant, right? Basically, if you have a lot of planets concentrated in a certain area, then that can kind of like denote an overarching like theme in your life, right? Or incarnation, right? So your incarnation, right? So yeah, if you have a lot of planets, hang on, 'cause it's kind of laggy here. If you have a lot of planets on the southern or the top half, then and within like this lifetime, whatever, however you want your life, or however you want to look at it, most of your achievements, right? What you're most of what you're doing, like your work, so far as your life work, is probably going to go towards something that on a public level you would be very known for, like a specific thing, maybe not a specific thing, maybe an idea, but most of your energy is going to go into that public view. Or you could think about it like your reputation, right? You might care a lot about that. You might work towards solidifying a long-term career, generational wealth, things like that, on the more public side of life. Even though generational wealth is personal, right? The work, on that side of the chart, that the work that usually denotes could definitely lead you to abundance, in financial areas, if you're someone that has that sort of, personality displacement, so to say. Okay, so I'm dead as fuck. The northern part of the chart, like, yeah, you guessed it, would be the bottom half here. So from Aries over to Virgo, well, over to Libra right here. So on the southern side, or excuse me, on the northern side of the chart, opposite to the southern, of course, if you have a lot of planets concentrated there on the bottom half, you're usually a more private person, right? You're usually someone who focuses on, or usually this would denote someone who spends a lot of their energy, right, within this lifetime focusing on their own private life, like their own personal development. Maybe you're more, I don't want to say a hermit, but your public life is like less of a concern overall, right? And I would say someone that has a lot of planets here probably needs to work on balancing that introvertedness with the outgoing side of it, because there's probably, I feel like, not even I feel like this would denote someone who's more on the creative, or might have like a lot of hidden talents, but that might not do you too much good if you don't balance, because everything's balanced, right? If you have a lot of planets on the bottom half, and this is talking about you, then maybe you do need to work on being a little bit more extroverted, right, in order to balance that energy out. And so on the eastern side, because we're gonna keep it moving here. On the eastern side, right over here, so from Capricorn, let's just say down to Cancer right here, this half, like the left half of the chart, if you have a lot of planets concentrated on this side, or you can think about it like the Aries side, if you have a lot of planets concentrated on that side of your chart, you're probably more self-reliant, self-motivated, probably more concerned with just you as an individual, more so than, not more than anything else, but that's probably a bigger concern, even if it's like on the top and on the left side. Okay, so you might be more of an independent person, right? You might be more self-motivated, but is to your end game is to shine on like that, on the outside, on that extroverted side of things. You feel me? It's to shine more so like in the public eye, if that makes sense. Okay, so on the western half of the chart, right over here, this side's kind of thought about as like the codependent side because my bad, the screen's moving. The codependent side because of this Libra energy right here. So it's kind of dominated by that. And Libras, not every Libra, of course, because everyone has again a whole plethora of placements and shit that makes up their personality, along with personal experiences. Because your life experiences definitely go into this shit. Astrology isn't the end all be all, but it's definitely a good place to start so far as self development and self exploration goes. So on the western side, if you have a lot of planets, if you look up your chart, you see that you have a lot of planets on this side of the chart over here. Then you're probably a team player type of person. You probably rather work with other people, right? I don't want to use the term codependent, but I guess because there is positives and negatives to everything, right? If it's not balanced, the energy, right, between this, team player dependent energy and this individualistic, assertive energy over here, if there's not a healthy balance of that, and you are someone that has more of a focus on this western side of your chart, then of course you probably can become codependent. But that's not always a bad thing, because maybe you like just playing the sidelines in certain situations, and you probably have a natural understanding for like the ebbs and flows of relationships, whether it's just like friendships or intimate relationships or business partnerships. This side of the chart is definitely more so the relationship oriented side. And again, that's not just like intimate relationships, because I hate when you go on social media and you see all these like Aries should be with Libra, or Scorpio should be with Taurus, and or you know what I'm saying? Like all these relationship combinations, and while some of it is valid, that is definitely not like the whole scope of astrology and what it's meant for at all. You feel me? Astrology is a system by which, if you take the time to really understand it, you could tap into like alchemy. And if you don't know what alchemy is, right? Alchemy is just like the transmutation of energy, right, from one form to another. So basically, you can learn more about yourself to the point where, I don't want to say your ego dies or you detach from ego and worldly shit and all this. I don't want to make it sound like it's some overnight shit, because I also don't believe like your ego dies. Like, I don't believe like ego death is a thing, in a sense that just that your lower self and like, excuse me, your physical desires and things like lust and greed and gluttony and shit like that, I don't think it just goes away. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. I don't think that shit just goes away, and at least not how someone that hears the term ego death might think. I know, if you're, if you, take psychedelics and things of that nature, a lot of times, and I feel like I definitely went through this, like when I first, started tripping or whatever. I feel like I definitely experienced like a false ego death. And again, I think that comes from believing like, oh, I've just purged myself of all like, this negative energy in my lower, you feel me, like desires and shit. Like, nah, like that lower vibrational, lower frequency shit doesn't go anywhere. You feel me? Like even now, sometimes, I still have the desire to do certain things, but it's about, choosing right. It's about knowing right from wrong and knowing what's healthier for you. Because I do believe like healthy is just like the main focus, right? Whether that's mental, spiritual, emotional, or physical, you want to be healthy, right? You want to be extremely like positive. You want to be abundant, and just those areas of life, health in general. And so if it's, at the end of the day, if it's not like healthy for you, if it's not productive in any kind of way, right, for you or for anyone around you, then it's probably not a smart decision, right? Especially once you reach maturity and fucking adulthood, and you have to worry about like life and financial stability and treating others with respect because you want to be respected, right? And also setting boundaries so people don't just blindly disrespect you for no reason. Like when you get to a point where you have to really start to take life seriously, you really can't afford to just be doing any and everything. So discipline is key as fuck. But I feel like you have to understand yourself. Most definitely is my point in saying any of that. You have to have some sense of direction, some sense of okay, who am I? At least, right? Because if you don't know who you are, you can't like lead yourself. Like, how could you? You feel like how could you really benefit anyone else? And so, in any way, like whether that be this or whatever you love to do, right? You have to love yourself first. And I do believe like the understanding and the insight you can gain from taking the time to just step back and objectively look at yourself and not get your fucking ego involved and be like, oh, I don't wanna associate myself with anything because I believe blah blah blah. I understand that shit, bro. But it's like you're associating yourself with shit already. Like even if it's not like your star sign or anything like that, like you subconsciously put yourself in certain even thinking like with that same logic, even thinking, oh, I don't want to believe in this because I feel like I'm putting myself in a box. Like you're already in a box when you think like that. You feel me? Your box is just being closed minded and staying there. But I don't know. It's my little rant anyway. I don't have I don't have much more really honestly for this video. I just wanted to go over the what I feel is like the very basics. I was just thinking like, okay, what's the first thing someone's gonna see if they look up their chart or anything like that, and it's like, well, it's the chart. So the great thing about astrology is pretty much everything that you see has some sort of significance, right? Even the fact that right here on this 1 and 2, this represents houses. So this is the first house and the second house. This is the symbol for the sun. So this person would be a Gemini sun, and their sun would be in the third house, which Gemini is at home and within the third house because Mercury and Gemini rule the third house. And so naturally the Gemini energy would be I guess potent, you can say, within this person. It'd be very strong, very free flowing. Gemini is an air sign, and the sun, obviously the sun rules Leo, so the sun is most comfortable in fire signs, right? But air and fire have like this harmonious relationship, is what we would call it in astrology. But we would say they sextile, like the two elements. So basically, if you think about how blowing on a flame would increase it, right? Like the ideas from an air sign, right, and the clear communication and from an air sign, coupled with the ambition and the drive of a fire sign, putting it together would kind of be like fanning a flame. So like that's why they say that air signs and fire signs are good in relationships because like they balance each other out. Like what the air sign is might find as a weak point, the fire sign might find as a strong point, right? And I guess, to put it into the most simplest terms with air and fire, that would be, an air sign maybe thinking too much, and a fire sign being all about, taking action and kind of impulsive, being kind of compulsive, like to a degree, like fire signs. We kind of balance each other out. The air sign's like, okay, well, let's get this plan together. And the fire sign's like, okay, gotta respect the plan, but let's not think about it too long, right? Because you have to take action. If you remain stagnant, then you'll never get anything done at all. And fire signs are usually about like doing. And again, like your sun sign is just mainly how you project yourself out in the world, how you see yourself, how you would like to be seen, right? But there's many layers to your personality. Like Shrek told Donkey, we're like onions. You feel me? Like there's many layers to this shit. But yeah, that's it for the first video. A birth chart, basically a picture, screenshot, whatever you want to call it, where everything was at. And it's split up into quadrants and hemispheres. So the hemispheres, we already went over quadrants. The hemispheres, excuse me, right here, they're split up into threes. So all the excuse me, the quadrants are split up into threes. The hemispheres split up into sixes. So six, six, and then yeah. The quadrants right here are broken down into threes. So the first one would be right here, the Aries through Gemini. And with the quadrants, it's kind of the similar, right? Theory wise, if you have a lot of planets concentrated in any one of these quadrants, it denotes, certain focuses that you might experience in life or things you might be focused on more. Okay, so in the first quadrant, you might, take your personal self development down here. You might take your self development really serious, and you might be, a lifelong like learner and striving to really. I don't even want to say. I don't want to call it like being self centered, but striving to, be that star player in your own eyes, and always make sure that you dot your I's and cross your T's before anything else, right? Over here in the second quadrant from Cancer through Virgo, pretty much Cancer to Libra, right here. If you have a lot of planets there, you probably have more of a need for emotional security, and I wouldn't say a relationship, but you're definitely probably more serious about trying to maintain relationships, and maybe not on an intimate level, at least like at the very least on just an interpersonal level, right? Because that can definitely probably provide you with a lot of emotional security that you may need if you have more planets focused down here. Again, both of these quadrants are within the northern hemisphere, so either way, it's a more private, a more personal chart, excuse me, life journey, however you want to look at it. But the only difference here is private and definitely more so focused on me versus private and a little bit more concerned with those closest to me, right? My inner, my inner circle. You might be and you might be more intuitive in a sense and more understanding and naturally just flow more within that realm of like close loved ones and things of that nature, friends. So moving up into this quadrant right here, quadrant number 3, from Libra to Capricorn. If you have a lot of planets over here, again, the relationship thing, but now it starts to become more of like now it starts to become more of a relationship with people that you feel like align or resonate, if you want to look at it that way, with you. Okay, so like right here is more so like my family, like my loved ones, but up here it's more so like the group, and I would say it's more so how you interact with that group, right? And kind of finding your place more so on a not on a again not in a codependent sense, but more so like in a team player sense, right? So that may be more so the focus in your life, or a pursuit of like knowledge, right? Higher knowledge in a sense. And again, these are both on the top side of the chart. So at either way, if you have more planets here or here, majority of your life's work is probably going to be known by the public, or you might be a little bit more known for your reputation. And over here, Capricorn to Pisces in the fourth quadrant of the chart. Your main focus, I would say your main focus would probably be leaving your mark for sure. especially since it's the public side, and then it's over here with the more, I don't want to say, yeah, I'm gonna say it, like the more like the big picture idealist energy, at least with these signs, and the planning and the futuristic, and again like the bigger perspective, the vision side of things. If you have a lot of planets over here, I feel like you would definitely be someone who has dreams and has goals. But I would say just be careful not to get too lost in the ideals and the idea of things, right? And make sure that you do stay grounded, because again, balance is necessary with everything. You could have a lot of energy over here, focused over here in this area in your chart, and that could make you, at least, well, not, I don't want to use the word make, but you could feel like there's a lot that you want to get done, but just don't move too fast. Everything will unfold. And so yeah, that's just a brief breakdown of the quadrants and the hemispheres. And in my following videos, I will go a little bit further into that, but more so how it relates to the houses and the signs in particular, and not just a general overview like this. So yeah, if you did look up your chart and you found any of this to make sense or be slightly relatable in some way, like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, love y'all, man. I'm gonna be making hella more of these. I swear. Try to get one in every day, but at the very least 3 times a week. Yeah, take care of yourself, man. If you're feeling down right now, just remember like 3 things that you couldn't live without, that you're thankful for, and that should hopefully change your perspective for the time being. But shit, till then, I'll be back again. Love y'all. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'm out.